Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Bernie Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward children. I intend to talk about important topics in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. Please like, share, and subscribe. So now, let's get started. Our guest for episode number 63 is school board candidate Latoya Congolo. Latoya is a licensed mental health professional and small business owner. She has worked in the fields of addictions and mental health for 25 years as a clinician, as an administrator, and as a community advocate. She has been tirelessly striving to reduce the stigma around behavioral health. Latoya has held seats on several prestigious boards across the state of Maryland related to mental health. She's also worked in academia as an adjunct professor for well over a decade. Latoya is the 2020 recipient of the Leadership Arundel Distinguished Graduate Award for her work and advocacy in the fields of mental health in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. She's also the 2022 recipient of the Black Legislative Caucus's Outstanding Community Service and Excellence Award. She's the 2023 Small Business Administration's Minority-Owned Business Owner of the Year nominee. Latoya has well over a dozen legislative citations for her community service outreach over the past 2 decades. Latoya is also a candidate for the Anne Arundel County, Maryland School Board in District 5. Latoya is a wife, a mom, and specifically the mother of a recent high school salutatorian. Pretty impressive, huh? Latoya, how you doing?
I am perfect. I'm doing well, Bernie. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, we're excited. We have a lot to celebrate in our household. And you mentioned my daughter graduating salutatorian, so we're extremely proud of her. Also, I need to shout out my son because he was inducted into the National Junior Honor Society, and he'll be going into 9th grade, taking AP history and honors courses. So my kids, they understand the importance of academics and school, and we've instilled that in them, and they work hard, so we can't be prouder of them.
My goodness, do you ever rest?
You can't rest when you have kids that you want to bring up and make productive citizens, and when you have a community that's in need. How can you rest when you know that there's so much around you that needs to be done?
Well, let me tell you, I am impressed for one. I mean, I'm your friend and I'm impressed. Wow. Give my best to your family.
I certainly will.
Hey, I got some questions for you if you don't mind answering. You ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do this. Anne Arundel County, their Board of Education in the newspaper I just read just recently approved a $1.69 million budget with raises for some new teachers and new positions. Can you tell us anything about it, and do you agree with the budget?
Well, I'll say that I'm always in support of teachers being paid fairly. I want teachers to be compensated. Like you mentioned, I've been a teacher. I've been in academia for well over a decade, and I know what it takes to instruct and plan and grade, and you have to counsel students, and a lot goes into it. So I applaud Anne Arundel County Public Schools for increasing the pay or putting more money into the budget for pay. However, I have to look at the other parts of it. So if we look at the budget where it is today, you're talking about our operating budget, which is, like you said, it's a little less than $2 billion. Just in 2017, our budget was $1 billion. So our budget is almost doubled. But this is the problem, is that our budget is doubled, but our graduation rates have declined. So let's give you an example. So in 2021, our graduation rate was over 90%. In 2023, our graduation rate was 87%. Okay, so it may not seem like a lot to you, but if you think about it, a 3% difference. Think about if you were to lose weight or gain weight, and then every year you gain 3 pounds. Oh, 3 pounds isn't that bad, but 10 years later, now you're 30 pounds heavier. Okay, So the problem is if you don't catch the problem in the beginning, then it only becomes worse. So you have that, and then you have our dropout rate in 2021 was 5%. In 23, it was 8%. We look at our college enrollment rates. In 2019, our college enrollment rate was 67%. In 2022, our college enrollment rate was 61%. So when I look at the budget and the fact that it's nearly doubled, but everything else has declined, academic performance, college enrollment, retention of students has declined, where are we getting a return on our investment? And I'm a business owner. These are the things that I look at. And we need to take these things into consideration as taxpayers, as parents, as property owners, because our property values depends on the quality of our schools and our performance. And and even when I look at the 2023 Maryland School Report Card, this was another scary and very disappointing rating. But in 2022, Anne Arundel had 28 five-star schools. In 2023, our number is down to 9 five-star schools, a five-star rating. That's the best of the best.
Mhm.
So think about where we are today and how our budget is impacted. And then, I look at the fact that, and I'm so happy for the parents that brought to the community's attention the fact that we're losing so many principals and assistant principals. But that's just the beginning of it. That's just scratching the surface. The other issue that we have in District 5 alone is that we're slated to lose 26 teachers, which is going to cause our classroom sizes to increase. So in this budget, they were able to reallocate funds and they were able to add 8 more teachers, but that's 8 more teachers across Anne Arundel County. That's not 8 teachers designated for District 5. So we look at this budget, but we have to look at the intricacies of this budget, the specifics, where the money is allocated, and are we getting a return on our investment? And if I were to look at it as a business owner, as someone who knows budgets, I would say no. I would say that we have a lot more work to do.
Well, Toya, one of the things I love about you is that you always bring your receipts.
Well, I have to, because the opposition, they always want to put fear in people, and they want to talk about all of the things that are slanderous, that are bullying. But I do come with facts.
Yeah.
So this is the problem. Our schools are in crisis, and people want to put a smokescreen over it and pretend that things are okay and they're getting better. This has been an ongoing problem. And we hired a great superintendent about less than 2 years ago, but he inherited a mess. And this has been a continuous problem. And unless we elect people that know business, that know budgets, that actually care about academics, this problem is only going to get worse.
There you go. Well, I got another question for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. What makes you so passionate about education?
Ooh, can you tell I'm fired up, Bernie?
Just a little, just a tad.
Well, a lot of it is personal. First, I'd like to say that I have served Anne Arundel County for 17 years. I will gladly give Anne Arundel County another 17 years because I truly love this community. I love what it has done for me, for my family, what we've been able to contribute, and I'm proud and honored to be a part of this community. But I'm really honored at the fact that it was my local elected officials and elected officials across the state of Maryland who encouraged me to run for this seat. So, keep in mind, I did run 2 years ago. I was almost fresh off of a run, and I was tired, Bernie. I was looking forward to kicking my feet up for a minute, if I'm going to be
about it.
But people repeatedly come to you and say, LaToya, we need this. You are someone who is a bridge builder. You are someone who is actionable. You are someone that can get things done. And frankly, you're easier to work with than what we're dealing with now. So I'm told this by local elected officials, community members. I felt compelled to step up and run for this seat. So why am I passionate about it? Because I feel like education, if done correctly, can be a tool to break so many barriers. And unfortunately, the way this system is set up now, because we're not paying attention to the data and the facts, we're not setting students up to potentially break the cycle of poverty, to potentially have a career that's going to allow them to take care of themselves and the family one day that they may create. That's not what this system, that's not what the priority seems to be. The priority is not helping people break cycles. I was speaking at a meeting and there was a parent. This was in the Broadneck Peninsula. So Broadneck is a very nice, well-to-do area here in Anne Arundel County in District 5. And I made this statement. I said, if it were up to me, education would be designed for a child who lives in Bywater to be able to one day say, I got the right education and now I live on a home by the water.
There you
And
go.
Bywater is a low-income community. I grew up in a low-income community. So one of the men who approached me afterwards, he was like, what do you know about Bywater? That's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. And now I own a home by the water. I said, I want to see more people like you, more
Hmm.
people like me who grew up in low-income housing, who knew pretty much the only pathway to not repeat that cycle was to get an education. And education has done wonders for me. You talk about my children, being high achievers because they've never had to have a hungry day. They never had to worry about where mom and dad were, or if they were going to have a roof over their head. They didn't have those worries because the stability that education provided for me is what I want for all kids. And if that's not the priority for anyone who's representing children, then they don't need to be in that seat.
Preach it, preach it, preach it. I love to hear all that. I'm a big advocate of yours, so there's no secret here.
There's
Got
no for you. You know me. I'm going to give it to you straight.
There
So
you go. I got another question for you. Let's talk about your campaign a little bit. How's things going on that side of the house?
I think that it's going well, and I'll say that it's going well because, for one, I'm laser focused on the mission. I am not distracted by the lies, the slander, the things that they've done that they thought would stifle my campaign. It hasn't. I still show up with a smile on my face. I still show up just as bold and confident
There you
because
go.
I'm doing this for the kids. I will take those stray bullets for the children. I'm here to defend them. I'm here to be the advocate that the parents need, that the children need. And I feel confident in it. I appreciate all of the support. It's been amazing to see that, people have stepped up to volunteer, to donate money. I'm just grateful. I am eternally grateful, but it's all because we're all concerned about the state of our schools and the future of our children. And it's just, I just can't thank everyone enough for making this campaign what it is. And we have a lot more work to do, but we're willing and we will do it.
You are putting in the work. I can testify. I've seen it. I've been there with you, and I'm just totally impressed. And that's why I wanted to get you on here as soon as possible. So, next question: what are your plans for making things better for school kids in Anne Arundel County?
Well, that is a loaded question because I have so many ideas, and because I spent years behind the scenes. A lot of people. I had someone recently say, "Latoya, what got you involved in politics?" Well, I used to work for Anne Arundel County. I used to build programs. I used to manage budgets. I am more qualified for this Board of Education seat than anyone running for the seat. Okay, there's only one other person. Okay, because I've been doing this work behind the scenes, working with legislators, dealing with policy making and building successful programs that have been replicated across the state of Maryland. So, this for me is easy, and I think that worries some people because pretty much everything I've touched has been a success. And if I were to get this seat on the board, it would be another Latoya saying, "I told you so." But it's probably the concern because of the fact that I get things done and I say what I mean
Yeah.
and I well with people. But I say it's a loaded question because of my experience, because of what I know I can do to support our superintendent and other board members. I know I can make just about anything successful. But first and foremost, there has to be a collective effort between parents and teachers.
Right.
I want parents and teachers at the table working together. My opponent says, well, I trust the teachers, I trust the librarians. I trust everyone, but to an extent. Okay? I will
Sure.
be Okay, those are my children. I gave birth to those children, and no one is going to make a decision without me being informed. I want to be at the table, and any parent who's actively involved in their child's life would want to also be at the table. So I appreciate and respect teachers, administrators, but guess what? I'm still a parent, and we're going to work together for the benefit of this child. The other thing, if I were to wave a magic wand, I would say that we need to take more aggressive approaches into making sure that all children are reading and doing math at grade level.
Yeah.
So talked about the budget. They talked about, tutoring and, after school programs, for high schoolers. Wonderful. But how aggressive are we in making sure those kids that were in kindergarten, first grade, when they were stuck in front of a computer screen, did not have a proper foundation, a proper start to their school career? What are we doing now to address those gaps in education? How are we now going to make sure that those kids who are still in elementary school, the tail end, maybe approaching middle school, are at reading and doing math at the level that they should? Because we know that if they're not reading and doing math proficiently by third grade, it's going to be difficult to catch up. If not, it could be impossible for them to catch up. So that would be, I would want to make sure that the foundation is solid for those students, so that way their trajectory would be a positive one.
I like the way you think. Got another question for you.
All right.
The floor is now yours. LaToya, say whatever you will to the audience. We are waiting with bated breath.
Well, I'm gonna say that my focus has been since day one putting academics back into education. This needs to be a tool that is going to allow all students, no matter your background, no matter your whatever, if you have special needs, whatever your preferences, whatever it is, all students deserve the right to have a quality public school education. Not all parents can afford to homeschool their children. Not all parents can afford private school. And that's what's happening now. Anne Arundel County's budget is almost $2 billion, but they project that their enrollment is going to be lower in the next school year. Why is that? Because parents are pulling their students out. I am here for the kids that have no other choice but to have a public school education. And we can't have people in these seats that never even needed education to be able to take care of themselves because they have trust funds, because they went to elite schools. Okay, I am someone who is a product of the public school education, and I know the power of a quality education, and I want that for all kids. And voters cannot afford to sit this election out. Our kids are relying on you. They're relying on us to work together, and I need you to show up at the polls. If you care one iota about our kids and the future that they are going to have, you have no choice but to show up at the polls. So I'm pleading with you. We need to do this together. We need you. We cannot afford to lose this election.
Well said. The apathy out there is thick, and we don't get quality candidates like you. We cannot allow this opportunity to get you into office pass. So that's why we're doing this, and that's why I support you 150%.
And I appreciate the support, Bernie.
Well, you know how I feel. We're on the same page all the time. How can people reach you if they need to?
Okay, well, they can reach me at LaToya, so that's LATOYA, the number 4, BOE.com. So that's my website, and my email address is LaToya, the number 4, BOE at gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook. Facebook page is the same name, LaToya for BOE, and I'm also on Instagram at LaToya_Congolo.
I tell you, your passion and commitment are irrepressible. And I just feel an energy when I'm around you. And you just keep going like an Energizer bunny. So that is so cool. Give my best to your family. Know that I am honored to have you on the program. And I know what you're doing for the community. Nobody can match you. And we're just going to keep supporting you and try to bring some more resources your way. That's why we're doing this. So proud to have you. And thank you for coming on the program.
And thank you, Bernie, for having me. Thank you for the great work you're doing in the community.
Thank you. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Fallback Productions and other podcasters. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to get your copy of my book, Black Values Matter, available as an ebook on Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. And also, it's okay to disagree, but if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility from ourselves and our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. See you next week.